You don't necessarily have to dig up and store your dahlias every winter. It depends on where you live.
So what I'm doing is I'm digging around this bulb as best as I can because I don't want to damage the actual tuber itself.
We're going to cut them back down to about, maybe down to about here.
Hey everybody, Sean and Allison here from Spoken Garden. Today we're digging up our dahlia tubers so we can actually move them next spring.
Yeah, but before we get to all that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on every daily video. Okay, you guys, here are some of our dahlia tubers, and you can see that they've turned brown, almost black, and have actually, they look awful. They're withered, they're ready to be moved. The thing is, you don't necessarily have to dig up and store your dahlias every winter. It depends on where you live. We live in zone 8B, and technically we don't even need to do this. We actually have left them in the ground over winter successfully. And as you can see, we have dahlias everywhere. They've spread and grown and been really healthy. So the plan is, you know Sean and I, if you've been watching for a while, you know we always have new plans in the works. We're gonna create a whole new dahlia growing space next year, and probably for sunflowers as well, but that's a whole other story. So we're gonna create a new raised bed area. So what we wanna do is get all of these dahlias out of the ground now because we can see them and we know where they are. We were thinking if we waited until next spring, we won't know really exactly where they are, and we'll have to disturb a lot more soil than we would now.
So we're going to dig up these dahlias, and the plan is to dig them up, get all the dirt off of them. We're going to store them over the winter, but first we got to clean them up and let them dry out. We don't want them to be stored wet, otherwise they'll rot and they won't be any good next year. So we'll dig them up, we'll get all the dirt off of them, we're going to set them out and let them dry, and then what we'll do is we'll take them and store them in a box that we actually made ourselves out of some recycled materials, some shredded documents and stuff. We're recycling and that type of thing, and we'll keep them over the winter in that box in the garage in a nice, cool but dry and above freezing place. Now we know what most of these dahlias names are. Some of them we don't. We know what color they are, so at least we have that, and they'll be labeled and kept separated and organized as we go through the process. So the tools we're going to need today to get this done is our hand trowel, and once we get them dug up, then we'll snip off and cut off the stems, and then we'll work the soil off of the roots as best we can, and for the finer pieces we'll use a little brush that we have, and we'll keep them labeled, as I said, as we go, and keep them separate. So first up, we're going to dig up these 3 dahlias that you see here. We got one here, and then one here. This is Allison's favorite, the Cafe au Lait. It's a beautiful white, creamy white bloom on it, flower. It's just gorgeous. And then these 2 are actually red. Now these 2 didn't bloom, and we've kind of forgotten what actually the name of these 2 are, but we know the color of the flower, and that at least is something, and that'll help us plan for next year when we're planting them. So we just, as long as you know some of the characteristics of the plants you're digging up, like these bulbs you're digging up, you can use that to then plan and then place them next year. First we're going to get this small guy out of the way. So I'm going to get down here. First let's get this mulch out of the way. And we got a little, I think we got a little, is that?
That was a black-eyed Susan.
Yeah, that's one of our black-eyed Susans. So I'm going to try and be careful with that. Oh, there's a rock. So, but let's get this mulch out of the way as best we can, and then let's dig down here and see what we got. So what I'm doing is I'm digging around this bulb as best as I can because I don't want to damage the actual tuber itself. So I'm starting to dig down and digging around it, trying to go as gingerly as possible, but also getting in here and finding that actual tuber. So there we go. I think we got it. I think we're okay. So there we go. And yep, we got her. There it is. Ooh, that's tiny. Yeah, no wonder. It's kind of a tiny one. So you can see here's our red dahlia. We got last year's tuberous root right there, and then we got some new growth here. So now we can get in here and we can just use this brush to get some of this stuff off here. You don't want to do it too hard though, because you don't want to hurt the plant. You don't want to create some damage where then it needs to repair itself. Try and hold it as steady as you can. I'm gonna replant as best I can, as fast as I can. It's black-eyed Susan here. It'll be good right there. Okay, rain's coming in, so we want to kind of move it along here. We don't want to catch cold. So I'm gonna this a little bit faster. So we wanted to tell you, when you're digging these up and you're handling these bulbs, these tuberous roots, you want to make sure that you're handling them so you're supporting this area where the actual tuberous root is in its stem, but you're doing it so the stem isn't flopping around, it doesn't get broken, because the more you move these aren't really attached the best. These are living things, so the more you move them around, the faster these are going to actually break, the easier they're going to break. These bulbs aren't meant to really be moved around a lot, so you want to treat them with kid gloves and support the weight, which is down here, according to the stem. Try not to break the stem, try not to break these points of attachment of the tuberous roots, because they do have these different points of attachment. Make sure that you're holding them and supporting that weight. So now we're going to cut the stems back and we're going to set them on a bench to dry out before we store them. So to cut them, just going to use our hand shears, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut them back down to about, maybe down to about here. We're going to leave that stem. So the reason we're going to leave this stem the way it is right here is because we want to be able to identify that stem later on next spring when we bring these out of storage. If we cut it all the way down to here, we're not going to know where that stem actually is. So we could get confused, we might not remember, and so it's better just to leave part of the stem right on there, and then you'll know how to orient the tuberous root when you plant them next spring.
Okay, you guys, don't mind me in the shot back here, by the way, but so this is our drying kind of station. So this is where they'll stay for the next few days, and like Sean said, we'll check them every couple days and just see what they look like and make sure that they're dry. You can see we have them all separated by their cultivar name if we know them. Sadly, we can't remember where we even got these orange dahlias. We think it was from Eden Brothers, but we're not sure. We just know that these are orange. And then we have our Florel. This was also Eden Brothers. And then these are the red ones, and sadly we don't know which is which because we got them mixed up. We're pretty sure this is North Lake Pride because this is more of a dinner plate size, so that would make sense. And Cornell's the ball size. So anyway, we'll find out next year.
So guys, after the tuberous roots, after the dahlias have actually dried out, they've lost that moist look to them, that sheen to them, we're gonna put them in this box, and we've got it basically sectioned off into 5 sections here. We've got slits on the sides for airflow, on these sides for airflow, and we've got some paper that we shredded up. We're gonna put the bulbs each in one of these areas right here, these sections, and then we're gonna put more material like the shredded material, or even shredded documents, you know, just to, you know, if you have a shredder at home, you shred, you know, your personal information. We'll use that, reuse that to keep the bulbs in, keep them dry and stored in a nice cool place in this box in our garage, and that's where they'll stay until next spring when we bring them out and plant them.
So you guys, that is how we're gonna store our dahlias over winter so that we can plant them next spring in a totally new location. Again, we live in Zone 8B. We actually don't need to dig our dahlias up for the winter. They will be fine over winter in the ground. Just make sure you're aware of your own hardiness zone and to know if your dahlias need to come up out of the ground or if you can leave them in over the winter.
And definitely leave your comments and questions down below on anything that we went over today in this video. We love hearing from you, especially all your questions. Give us that thumbs up, let us know we're doing a good job, and subscribe to our channel so you get updates on our latest videos.
Yep, that's a wrap, you guys. We'll be back tomorrow with our next Wednesday live, which will be live at 3 p.m. Pacific. So come on by, we're gonna be sharpening pruning shears. So Sean's gonna teach us how to do that, how to take them apart carefully, how to clean them and sharpen them. So we'll be here again tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific, and we'll be back on Thursday with our next daily video.
Until then, we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.